Hi, amigos. This is Commander Jaime, and here we are doing a special interview with Sergio Rios. Sergio, do you want to say hi?
Hi, I'm Sergio. I'm being interviewed again. Hi.
Yay, right? But this time it's really cool too, even more so. Like, what did you do recently?
I placed fifth at Worlds. I went into top 8 undefeated and then casually scrubbed out. It was awesome.
I like that. Like, you went undefeated and then casually scrubbed out.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So, and that's something that you could highlight later on to what happened to. But
Oh
first
yeah.
off,
Yeah.
congrats again. You know, not only that you qualify for Worlds, but you also got a chance to participate and make it into top 8, which is really good too.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much a similar format with my interviews before, but it might be a little more shorter. I will show the deck list throughout, and I'll screen share as well. But a lot of it might be like more of the mindset for like preparation, and it might be more geared to Worlds as well. So that way, for the viewers can get a chance, like what does it take to really like prepare for Worlds compared to just a normal regional. So with that being said, I guess the biggest question is like when you qualified and you knew Worlds was coming up in January, what are some things that you started doing or maybe like thinking about? Go ahead and explain a little more about that.
So the process that I did, and I think this is one of the most important things. So because I only have one regional and I can only typically attend one regional, mine was in Vancouver. So mine was near the end of the season for qualifying. So after I won in standard and then like placed 10th in like V, so like I didn't have to worry about V. It was just standard, right?
Yep.
I took 2 weeks off of competitive play, off of research, off of anything like that, because from my past experience prepping for Worlds, I burnt myself out before the competition. And that definitely affected how I did and performed. So learning from that experience, I took like just like 2 weeks of just like being still super hyped and like kind of like winding down from the win, you know, because it's like, holy, I won a regional, right? Like I got one of my goals.
Yeah.
But then it was also like, okay, I gotta like deload and like not stress too much about Worlds, because Worlds was only like about like 2 months away after I qualified, because I qualified at the beginning of November, so it was close to 2 months.
Yeah.
So I took about 2 weeks because the locals I got back at, it was just casual V, and I played Gurg. I didn't think about anything else. Even if Piano Man was still going to haunt my dreams. I wanted to play my favorite deck, and my favorite deck's Gurg. Okay. And then premium, and the same thing. I just played Gurg. I didn't think about like, okay, like what's the best premium deck to play right now or anything. I just like this deck. I'm just gonna go play my favorite thing, enjoy myself, because I still want to support the shop, but I don't want to get burnt out.
Yeah.
Even thinking about other formats competitively when my main format is standard for Worlds, right? So I'm gonna be really focusing on that, but I still gotta give myself that deload time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's
go ahead.
really important, especially because that'll help you kind of get back into the mindset of like prepping, and then I think it alleviates a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
as well.
I was gonna say that too. And at first it seems counterintuitive because like, okay, like you have this next big event and it's even bigger, right, in people's heads. But you already did a lot of preparation for just the regional to begin with. So you do need to like recharge or deload, like you were saying. And then whatever time frame that you still can work with it, you just get back into it from what it sounds like.
100%.
Right? How'd you feel
Especially
helping
because
you out? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
You're about to say it probably.
No, sorry. Well, this one especially because it was the first regionals in person in years, let alone the first Worlds, right?
Yeah.
So while I was prepping for my regionals, I was traveling to other cities to go compete in shop challenges to get buy cards.
Oh.
And like kind of getting back into that grind. So like I live in the city of Calgary in Canada, which is in the province of Alberta. So it's right beside British Columbia and Saskatchewan. It's also, if you're from the States, it's literally like right above Montana state, like Montana. Yeah. And so the capital of Alberta is Edmonton, and it's a 3-hour drive away from Calgary. So with the partner that I had at the time, we would go to Edmonton because they had family there. Yeah. And we could stay there. But also I could play in their shop challenges. So that's what I did. That's how I got my first buy card from the season, was actually one of the earliest shop challenges. It was in like the summer. Like I played Kyrie. Yeah. I beat everybody except for like Tamayura because OTOP. And yeah, like even though I didn't win another buy card after the 2 other shop challenges, because I got 6, so I couldn't go to premium. And then I scrubbed out in top 8 against 7Cs. I guess 7Cs is just like my worst nightmare, guys. I don't dude, the whale is just like,
The new
I don't know,
card,
it's just
yeah.
the stupid whale, okay? Like, I was playing Gurg, okay? Like, I'd nuke their board constantly, but they drop 4 whales. I'm like, I can't guard this. I think I lose. This sucks. And like, they have like all like the treasure markers, you know? It's just like degen, okay? Yeah, stupid whale. Anyways. And then there was 3 shop challenges in my city after the Edmonton ones. So then it was, okay, like standard is more of like practice for me because I already had my buy card. I wasn't too worried about winning again, another buy card, especially if I only go to 1 regional, right? So there's no use in having multiples of the same formats buy cards.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, right?
And then V was actually the one I really wanted to win because my regional was standard premium day 1 and I was playing standard because also before they announced the hit list, I was dodging ripples and mystery flare because I didn't like them.
Oh yeah.
At like it was super toxic. Like and this is more so because I watched JP ripples and I was like, wow, this is toxic. It's toxic.
Yeah.
Okay. And then like also like with the decks that I had, the most proficient one I was in that I was playing competitively was actually Vanquisher Premium. And it was like my vanilla version of the deck because it was supposed to deal with like Mega Colony as well. So I put like 12k vanillas and like vanilla triggers and I use Cyclone as split fodder. So then that way my numbers just scale even harder. I have really good defense in the early game. But the issue is like if I can't, you know, if I get like high rolled by ripples, right?
Yeah.
Or if I play against Mystery Flare and I can't cripple their hand out, you know, it's just like not worth. And then there was also Gurg, but again, it's really hard to like slow like force ripples to play a slow game, you know? So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna play standard. You know, I've been studying Kyrie for a while, whatever, right? And then V was on day 2. So I really wanted to win that one, but I didn't win it. But that's fine because it kind of got me to like, it was, I think, a blessing in disguise because then it got me to like relearn like how to like not let a big loss affect my overall performance in other events and or in like set events. So like it was good. And then premium, I played a 49 card deck and play second. I don't know how I did it. I didn't even mean to play 49 cards. I forgot. I just took my deck. I put an Elementaria. It was standard plus Vanquisher, guys.
Basically, yeah.
I don't know how I did it. That was the funniest one, I think, actually. Because I almost won it.
And
It was
what I
really
want to
funny.
say too for the viewers is that you assess the metagame and the likelihood that you get a good chance of topping into the format, right?
Yeah,
and you
that was a big one.
analyze all the metagames in all 3 formats too, which I think some people just kind of get fixated in one, and that's the only one they play. But really, there's like 2 to 3 opportunities for a person to actually top, and so take advantage of that too. It could pay off. And
Let alone go to Worlds. Like when you go to a regionals and you stay for the weekend, that's two days of 2 chances.
Yeah.
So it's like if I was forced to play premium, you know, I'd suck it up, but I'd play it. Okay? Because again, it's Worlds. Like I'm gonna suck it up. And then they actually hindered me for V when they announced the ban list because I was gonna play Gurgwit and destroy everybody with Gurgwit. But then they hit Percival and I was like, I guess I'm playing Anj, guys. 1 month before my regional too. I was so tilted.
Yeah.
Percival did not do anything wrong. It was Piano Man. He was the toxic one.
Right. And you adapted, which is a key component too. So and now, you know, with the regional aspect too, let's get more into the Worlds part too, because like you took some time to deload, but now going into Worlds, why did you pick a deck like Youthberk? And I could actually, let me screen share real quick.
So this is the deck list I played. I actually upgraded some high rarities, fun fact, but they're not in there. Very sad, very sad. But yeah. So I decided to take Youthberk because the other standard decks that I was thinking about taking, like I had the opportunity to take Ava, borrow my friends, but I didn't feel comfortable borrowing because on the off chance something happens to the cards, I'd feel terrible, right? Like if I lose something or if my stuff or something gets stolen, I'd prefer it to be my stuff than something my friend lent me.
Right, somebody else's. Yeah.
Right. So it was just like, it was more of like that. I was really considering playing Kyrie, but the issue with Kyrie was that it just didn't hit hard enough. The numbers on the grade 4 sucked. Come set 7, like it just did not. It just did not hit hard enough. And then there was like a grade 3 version of the deck that's super combo-y persona righty, but like it's like a big brain deck, right? So like it'll take a lot more stamina out of you. And just something to always consider too is like you can bring like a super technical deck and still do really well, but you have to consider like, okay, like stamina, like, right? Because especially since it's best of 1, you always have to be sharp. You always need to make sure that you're good, especially mentally, right? And if you're like, oh god, like I'm super tilted because I had this opportunity but I screwed up my chain and stuff like that, right? Like,
Yep.
no go. But like I really consider Kyrie because it's really fast in the early game and I can close out the game by my second grade 3 turn. But the issue is second grade 3 turn. That's the other issue. Second grade 3 turn. And if I don't see Persona Ride, it doesn't do anything. It's vanilla Vanguard, and Kyrie cannot outgrind Youthberk. No way. Youthberk, I'm a Counter Sanctuary main. I've been a Paladin main since I started. So I already have the deck in general because like I'm in case portions constantly with my friends. Like ever since like D started, we were just in. Everybody was like the same nation. Yeah. So, like my boy Gary goes for Dragon Empire. We've had some people in and out for Dark States, and like we kind of switched with like I think it's like Serenity now is in for like Stoicheia, and then we got 2 people splitting Brand Gate constantly, and then I'm in Keter because that's my main nation, right?
Yeah.
So I already had Youthberk, and like I love the deck lore wise as well. That was a big thing too. Is like if I like the deck, that's a big one because I don't want to take something that I won't enjoy playing because then I won't enjoy my time. Even if I talk with it, it won't mean as much unless it's a deck I really enjoy playing. So that's another factor. And like I love Youthberk. It's like my favorite D deck. It is like Youthberk has become, and this is like, it's crazy to think about. Like I've never thought I'd have a favorite unit that would be alongside how much I love Gurgwit, but apparently that's Youthberk. So there was that being a big factor. And the fact that like it's the best deck in the format. In set 7, it's the best deck, in my opinion. Best deck for set 7 meta.
And that's when Worlds place. It was during set 7 meta, basically.
During set 7 meta. Yep. So that was another big one too, is like I have the strongest deck in the format. And then there was actually one I was really considering because I was watching JP. Grade 3 Magnolia. And the reason why is because I watched this game and the guy was showing off, you know, like Youthberk versus the new stuff for Magnolia, right?
Yes.
This is during the Inlet Pulse hit. And it was grade 3 Mag with Inlet Pulse, had like Alpac, and then it was the new card that gives 10k to your back row. And I was really close to actually taking that deck because the moment you start Persona Riding, you have 6 attacks, 3 of them get plus 15 at minimum. You have a strong countercharge engine with the Sheep, Alpac, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
And it also gets like plus like 10 to 15k if you have like 6 like grade.
You're hitting really strong numbers. Yep.
Right? So already like on Persona Ride, that's like 30 to 35k alone, and that can be in the front row, being 30 to 35, potentially 35 to 40 in the back row. So your numbers are huge. You also have access to full powered Wild Intelligence. You have consistent recycles of Persona Ride with the triple rare chick. That's like on place. You can like get a card from drop back to hand. I think that's her name. You have also consistent ways of searching for Persona Ride because of the grade 1, because it also is on place. Look at top 5 for a Magnolia. And like once it starts going, it goes. Like the deck just goes, and it can outgrind. It can play like 8 crit nice, which is really nice. I don't have to worry about being forced to play fronts as well, which is also super nice. It has enough resources to still abuse stuff like Galbreg and Ginosala. It's rogue. It's like a specific type of rogue though, because like when they announced the Inlet release, right? People were thinking that Magnolia Elder was the way to go. I don't think so, because when I tested Magnolia Elder into Youthberk, it always lost, even going first, because it doesn't hit hard enough. It can draw a bunch of cards, but it doesn't matter if it can't push enough. The numbers are just too weak. They're too little, okay? They're too little. And that was a big issue. Whereas with the grade 3 variant, if I took it, I'd be hitting way harder. Sure, I have to Persona Ride consistently, but the payoff was being able to break through Youthberk's defense, which the deck can do. And it can do it pretty well. Like, the only reason the Youthberk player in the video that I watched won was because he had 4 live heals.
Oh, wow. So what made you choose Youthberk still, even though it sounds like Magnolia?
The issue was actually Magnolia was slow.
Oh, okay. I see.
And so that was one. It was slow, so that like, because you still have to consider the other decks, right? Lutetia was really relevant. Overlord really relevant. Ava's still relevant. And then there's like random stuff too, like Orphist, which I actually did prepare against. I'll get into that later though. But like, even other decks like Flagbird, right? Like, I still think Flagbird's the way to go for Stoicheia. Right now, until maybe Granfia, then maybe Granfia, but that's like when I get into my document. So there was a lot of these other decks that can just like, because like for starters, Overlord gets more time against the Magnolia grade 3 version because I have to Persona Ride, right? And if they get any amount of breathing room, it doesn't matter if they're turn 5 or like turn 6 Persona Ride. Like they already have a restanding Vanguard. That's already a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
I don't have as much pressure in the early game, but I compensate for my big Persona Ride. Lutetia will rush me to death, man. Like Lutetia's so fast with its early game. Like Yuika, the chick that like looks at top 3 to put something to soul. You got the order, right? It's super fast. And then Youthberk can still get its engine going. It can still have lots of value. It has insane plussing as well. Plus, if it plays stuff like Reedy, it's still going to be really hard to defend against because of the unpredictability. The Revolve form pivoting as well it can also be hard because again, it's like, do you either go for the more offensive push with Gust? If they're playing the one of Zest, woo, are they going to drop a Zest to damage control me, right? Because the Quana makes Zest a lot better. Or are they going to keep farming and just like keep like playing the long game because they have a better farm, I think, than the grade 3 mag, because I still have to use a lot of resources to get the inlets out to come back, which was another issue about it. Like, sure, I could like hit people really hard with 6 attacks and kill them, but the deck was not only, I think, too slow, but it was also too demanding to be able to do what I needed it to do.
Okay.
So that was a big contribution. And then finally, a actual really big factor was I only owned 2 inlet pulses at the time. One of them being my champion one, which I was going to trade away for SPs for Keter anyways. And then like another one. That's another thing. I don't want to borrow cards, right? If something were to happen, I'd rather it be my cards and instead of my friend's cards because I feel terrible. So that's not the case. So then it came between Youthberk and Bastion. I thought Thagria sucked, so I didn't even consider Thagria.
Wow.
I thought that Hexa Orb also sucked, so I didn't consider Hexa Orb. Also because I don't own it, weirdly enough. I own like very specific header decks. I don't own all of them, not yet. And then like I don't own PBD. I sold my MLBs because it sucked. So like it all just came down to like Youthberk or Bastion. Bastion, now while Bastion Prime being I think the best grade 4 in the format because it's the most volatile, I have to get to grade 4. It's not it's the hardest part playing that deck, even testing now, is getting to grade 4 because most of the time, even going first, I just won't live to grade 4 because my hand is just grade 3s.
Yeah.
So it's just getting to grade 4, which wasn't feasible. And then Youthberk. Also, Youthberk having a lot of different avenues, like it kind of like solidified the whole like, okay, I'm playing Youthberk for Worlds. There's no way I don't, because like A, it's my favorite nation. B, like even like while I was testing for regionals, I grew really attached to Youthberk. Also because I think Raika's the GOAT. Yeah, you can say I'm controversial with that. Raika's the GOAT in the anime, guys. I'm sorry, he's the GOAT. And then also the deck had a lot of different ways that like I could play it. So I thought, okay, Youthberk's the way to go, 100%.
Okay.
I don't care if I'm playing best deck in the format. I don't care if people are gonna be like, oh, it's another Youthberk deck. If I win, doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm just gonna go and play Youthberk. And also one of the actually biggest parts too is it's a paladin. I love paladins and I feel the most at home playing my paladins. So if I get an opportunity to compete with my paladins, I'm taking it.
It's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, because again, I'm not gonna take something I don't enjoy. And also another thing about the Magnolia, I didn't enjoy it as much. If I'm not having fun playing something, I don't think it's worth. It doesn't matter how good it is. I'm not gonna play something I don't enjoy, which I think does separate me quite a bit from a lot of competitive players.
I think, at least from my experience too, whenever I played a deck that I just didn't enjoy playing, part of my mindset was like, when is this gonna be over? Because I'd rather do something else. And then you start performing not as well, and you start making mistakes, or you start losing to games that you should have won. So yeah, you might as well just play a deck that you actually like. And yeah, it seems like, well, don't you want to play the best deck? But if you don't perform well with it, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, or just simply like if you don't enjoy it, because time isn't wasted unless time is never wasted unless it's not like enjoyed.
Exactly.
If that makes sense. Like,
yeah, I agree.
If you're not enjoying the time that you are using, then that is truly wasting time. So if you don't enjoy playing this deck for a tournament, then you are wasting your time, and you're also, in my opinion, making that experience going to the event and competing a lot more. Sorry, trying to word it. It makes it more likely to be a negative experience there, because it's not like you're like, okay, I'm gonna go to Worlds, I'm gonna play one of my favorite decks, and you know what? Even if I don't do well, hey, I took one of my favorite decks and I can still enjoy myself, right?
Absolutely.
No, you're gonna be like, I better do well, or else it wasn't worth it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like not worth, in my opinion, anyways. Like,
that could be
so I'm just gonna
too.
play what I like.
Yeah, you might as well play what you like too. With obviously we want to win and top and stuff, but like make sure you enjoy the deck to an extent.
Exactly. Like, I don't have to. I don't have to like bring like, let's say like Gurg into like I could bring Gurg into an event. The likelihood of me doing well, I would say, is a lot slimmer than, let's say, if I brought Anj or Steam Maidens, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, it all just comes down to like, okay, well, like if I enjoy this lower tier deck more than this tier 1 deck, then what's more worth it? Because even if like I still have the chance of doing well with both, one higher than the other, but also it comes down to, okay, which one do I enjoy more? Obviously, I enjoy Gurg more than Anj, let's say. I still love Bermuda, but Gurg is the best.
Right.
Gold's favorite thing, right? So if I can compete with Golds, I'm gonna compete with Golds. Doesn't matter. Okay? If I have to win die rolls, I will. I'll take that risk because I'm playing something I like.
Right, exactly.
Over like even Steam Maidens. Like when I like tried out Steam Maidens for the first time, it was pretty recent actually. I actually tried playing Steam Maidens. I thought it was like, it was neat, but it was like boring and I didn't really enjoy it. No offense to Gear Chronicle mains, just saying, like to me.
Everybody has their own preference, right? Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like being able to bring a deck that I enjoy and it just happens to be the best deck in the format, yeah, I'm gonna bring it. It was like back when I topped in 2019 when I got my second top 8. I played Ezel in Premium.
It's like the best
and
deck,
this
and
was
it
like
was your favorite clan.
Favorite clan. Also, this was during the time that, you know, Kirf wasn't restricted. Jamio Congo wasn't restricted. So it was like super toxic metagame. But I took golds because it's favorite clan. Why am I not gonna take golds? I don't care. I don't care about the other decks. I'm gonna take golds because golds is really good right now and it's my favorite.
And
I placed third in top 8 standings and then scrubbed out. Like, I still enjoyed it, even though it stung not being able to go back to Worlds that year. The fact that I proved that like it wasn't like what I wasn't this like one trick pony or like this lucky guy to go to Worlds in 2018. I proved that I did have what it takes because I had a second top, and consistency is what matters, right? But also I top 8'd with my favorite clan, and I don't know if that means a lot to a lot of players, but like to me personally, that meant a lot. It meant so much being able to be like, yeah, I top 8'd with my favorite clan. Sure, it was the best deck in the format or one of them, but it's still my favorite clan.
Right, you could just tell.
I built the deck differently compared to a lot of other people. I played it differently. I like, again, it's my favorite clan, right?
Yeah.
So it just came down to like, how much do I enjoy it? And Youthberk so happened to be the best deck in the format, but also the deck I enjoy the most in the format, even going into set 8 metagame with like Minerva and Ava being out, and then Chrono Jet's coming out next week. Or like when the time of recording this, it'll be next week, right?
Yep.
Chrono Jet's coming out, and like Youthberk has fallen off in Japan a bit, but that's not going to stop me from playing it and enjoying it and maxing it out because I love the deck that much.
Absolutely. And I think just to wrap that part itself, like make sure you play a deck you enjoy, especially at a big event. It means a lot more than just some random deck. And I feel like you'll do more better too, just with the deck that you're enjoying too. You'll embrace the challenge more. You'll fight for it more. And it'll pay off, you know. And I think
100%.
To go with your deck right now, because I know some people are watching this and they may have some questions about your deck list. The ones that really stand out are like the grade 2s next to Maple. And you want to at least explain that a little bit too, because most of Youthberk is consistent, but you could always point out the little differences that I think would people appreciate for like the world level, right?
Yeah. For sure. So one key thing to keep in mind, guys, is I study a lot of JP format. One of my main testing partners
JP
is
Japan,
a pro from China. Yeah. so like I watched a lot of JP. One of my testing partners is a pro from China, and his Chinese teammates play in JP, and he gets a lot of info from JP, right? So when it comes to the way that I perceive a standard, a lot of it is influenced for sure by JP metagame and the way that JP players think. So obviously, the for Schneisel as well being very, very different in compared to the West. The West really likes Kyber. Japan doesn't. Japan really likes Schneisel like way more, right? The 10k shield Friede, you know, like again, it's something that JP absolutely loves. The West, not so much. Maple is something we both love, etc. Like Reedy is something that's for sure a lot more of a Western thing than a JP thing. I haven't seen many lists play Reedy at all in JP, if not like any. Haven't seen it. But Friede just being a simple 10k shield if you're Vanguard's youth, I think is a lot better than people give it credit for, because you can call her out early, you can be super aggressive with her, but the one big thing is that she's an annoyance on the board. Because she's 10k shield, and 10k shield in this format, if you can push 10k shield, is actually really valuable. Even if it's just 18, 10k shield either forces a trigger, like a draw trigger, right? But if they're not playing draws, it either forces 2 cards, whether it's 2 intercepts, a 5k intercept, or 2 5ks, or it forces an overguard. Or because it's such an awkward guard, your opponents will miss guard to not have to guard that awkwardly, and they take the damage. Okay, so like 10k shield actually really matters in this format. So seeing Friede on the board, right, you're gonna be like, okay, it's a 10k shield, you know, especially in the early game, he can get it back with youth. This is gonna be really annoying, right? So first, the annoyance. Second, obviously the 10k shield. The 10k shield does come up quite a bit, especially when you're playing in the mirror match. Being able to guard comfortably, especially if they have revolve forms out on the rearguard circle to push those awkward numbers, you're able to guard a lot more efficiently, and it makes it less daunting and less awkward. So I really like Friede because of that. I think she's a really good card right now in the format. Like, sure, you know, it's just 10k shield, but the way that you can play her is, I think, what makes her so great. Again, she's an annoyance on the board early. You can be really aggressive with her early. Like, worst case scenario, right? You discard her. It's like 10k shield. Oh, okay. Like, if your hand's clogged up, right? It's like, okay, gotta get rid of one of these. I can get it back with my ride deck later, right? Like, I think she's really, really good, especially too when you're playing against mirror matches, and if they're also being really aggressive, right? You can be aggressive back and you won't lose out on your shield. So I really liked her because of it. I know Nuno, who adopted me, Nuno Raimundo, okay? 2019 World Champ adopted me, okay? He thought I should have just played the 3 maples. I don't think so, because again, the value that I got from Friede, even out like testing before Worlds, was just so much. Like, she puts in so much work. And like, I'm still playing a maple anyways. Maple was more of, if I see it, I see it. It's nice. Yeah. If I don't, it's fine. And I barely saw maple come up at Worlds. Like, it came out maybe like once or twice, but in testing it came up a lot more, which is why I played maple.
Right.
So that's mainly why for Friede. I think she's definitely something that I highly recommend Western players give a try a bit more. It's another avenue that you can take on being aggressive without also having to use resources. And that's like another big thing I really liked about her over Kyber, was that Kyber requires a counterblast soul blast, which then means if you're playing more counterblast, you have to play more things like nucleate, which means more pieces in your deck. And if you're gonna take a deck to Worlds, you want it to be as consistent as possible, especially in a format that's considered the baby, being standard, right? Standard still has some issues revolving around consistency and so on. Yeah. So
I agree.
If you can mitigate that and still have the most consistency in the least consistent way possible, as weird as that sounds, it's perfect. You have another avenue of attacking. Sure, you may not get that extra shuffle or the extra potential to get the witch. Yeah. But if you're not going to see the witch anyway, chances are you're probably not going to win anyways. I mean, like, okay, that's like false. It really depends, but like, if you're not going to see the witch, you're not going to see the witch. Even if you look at top 3 with Kyber, sure, it's increased chance, but like, every time I play Kyber, and I'm still testing Kyber right now for the new metagame. Yeah. Like, I look at the top 3 and it's like, wow, 3 triggers. I have to call one. This feels bad.
It does feel bad.
Right? Like, it feels terrible. Yeah. Right? And like, Friede just being just something that I can just call and like bash face with is huge.
She has a role. Yep.
Yeah, she has her role, and like, she doesn't use resources either, and she's really good bait. Like she's really good bait because she's an annoyance on the board.
No, it makes a lot of
overall,
sense.
I really like Frida. I thought she was worth. So I played it. No regrets there. I think she's a really good card.
Yeah. Would there be anything else in the deck list that you wanted to shed light more?
Reedy. I think Reedy is something that players should consider. I don't think you should tunnel onto Reedy though, because you're not playing Hexa Orb, right? So you can't get the most out of Reedy, right?
Okay.
Like, even though Outer Orange in my game that she commentated, right? She was like, we're watching Hexa Orb, right? Yes, we were, because when I was doing my trigger check and when I used Reedy, I only had, I think, 6 triggers in play.
Wow.
6 to 8. Like, not that much. And my deck was pretty small.
Yeah, they're coming.
So chances were I was going to hit triggers. So Reedy was the play. So the fact that, like, she can clutch you the game, sure, it's technically, like, increasing the sack power of clutching. Nonetheless, this is Worlds, right? This is Worlds we're going into. If I can clutch the game in any way, shape, or form, I'm going to. If this card allows me to, even if I have to sack my way out, if I take that opportunity, and if that opportunity is given to me, I will be rewarded for it. So there's that. Number 2, I love just calling her on turn 1 and bashing in the face. That's something that Youthberk doesn't have. So the early game in Standard is actually really important because it snowballs quite hard. Standard as the format is just in a heightened version. Like, when you break it down, it's just a very heightened version of the basics.
Yes, I agree.
Which means that the early game is actually one of the most important parts of the format. What you discard, the damage taken, how you take damage, it can really snowball from what I've noticed from playing the format. So having a unit that I can call and just bash face by turn 1 was huge, because I don't have to give up my witches. I don't have to position my witches awkwardly then. And she hits AK. I punch for 8. Like, turn 1, just like, I call 2 dudes, I start bashing. And then if they're like, oh, I'm scared of Reedy, I'm going to attack into her. Perfect. Because then that's 1 more damage I can take in the long run. 15k shield I can save. And I'm just going to keep up my aggression. Because again, Reedy is a win more card to me, and it is a card that can give me the opportunity to win the game, but it is not mandatory because, you know, you still have a chance of whiffing all your drive checks when going through the mid game, right? Or because you, like, let's say, draw into a lot of your triggers early, Reedy becomes a bit more less valuable. So then she becomes great discard fodder, great guard fodder, a unit, again, that you can just call and bash face with in the early game. And if they attack into it, that's fine. Who cares? Also, she's really good bait to bait people into bottom decking her over the witch. That's a big one, especially in the mirror. Like, you have a witch on the board, right? And then they check like a grade 1 from Tempest, but you also have Reedy. It's like, okay, who do I get rid of? What's going to cause more damage?
Oh, that's a good point.
Right? And then also, she forces my opponent to guard awkwardly. Even if I whiff all drive checks, because I'm increasing my triggers, even if it's by 5k, that's, in this format especially, that's really big. Because of the lack of 10k shield.
I was going to say those awkward guarding numbers.
Exactly. Which also Frida helps facilitate, right? Because you get 10k shield in your deck, especially because this deck can't play draws. If you want to deck out, by all means play draws. I don't want to deck out, so I don't play draws. I like 20k shield instead. But and then so it's like, overall, like, just like all those things together made me have value in Reedy. And I made this deck list actually quite last minute. I had another deck list in mind, and it was like, I think like a few days before my flight, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put in the Maple, and I'm gonna put in the Reedy. The Reedy because it's the clutch factor. I'm going into Worlds, right? If I can, like, sack my way, I will 100% do that, right? Maple because a 5th discard target in the early game is really nice. A consistent unit that can come back. Very useful, especially if I'm playing against control decks. I wish she came up in my Gravidia matchup. She would have been very nice. But no. She didn't want to show up. And she's also a great unit to just, like, poke with early, because it's like, you want to attack into her, that's fine. I save damage and she's going to come back anyways. So really, like, unless you're really worried about me using my ride deck, I can still bash early and get some damage if I need it. And then I think the final thing I really do want to highlight as well, outside of the crit, I really mean this, guys. I should have just played the 4 holo crits, not the 3 with the 1 SP. I just didn't find the 4th one in time. And hey, it was SP. It doesn't come up. I mean it. Don't worry about it. Just play vanilla crits, guys. Save money. Don't do what I did. I didn't get punished for it, but still, don't do it.
And why is that? Does
actually,
the 5K
Schneizel.
was the 5K that made the difference, or?
Yeah, actually 5K did. 5K does, because so the 2K that you get doesn't matter too much because of
Usually
your
doesn't.
boosters.
Yeah.
Your boosters are always 10K, typically speaking. Unless you have like a Reedy. But if you watch my stream game, I just called over Reedy because I just need her to do the thing, and then you just call over her, or she's an attacker anyways, because your best boosters are wayward.
Yeah.
Your boosters, even Sequana, if you have 2 on board, are 10K. What is 2K going to do to influence that? Nothing. Unless, very, very, very unless, for example, your opponent's on grade 2, and you have a revolve form and a wayward. And you use the crit to give 2K to that revolve form. Okay, it makes 25 now. You go into Tempest, it makes 30. One instance.
Yeah.
That very rarely shows up. Not worth. 5K makes more of a difference because even if you don't, let's say, see the witch, if you need to go in for game, you might as well make your Youthberk 18 or 28.
Yeah.
That is still at least a 20K shield for 1 a pass.
Yep.
That is valuable. If something happens to your wayward angels, you make your rear guards bigger by still making them that extra 5K shield.
Yep.
Whether it's a revolve form or if you use a Schneizel, right?
Yeah.
It's still value. The 4K means nothing because it's 1K too short.
Literally.
Hence why I tell people that don't do what I did, because even though I didn't get punished for it, it's still technically suboptimal, so don't do it. But it was just SP and I forgot to take it out. Yeah, that's it.
That's funny.
But
Okay.
the main thing I actually did want to highlight is Schneizel. I think a lot of people in the West, I think they underestimate Schneizel. I think Schneizel is really good. The fact that he looks at top 5 for any Youthberk is huge. He gets 5K, so he can become big on his own. The 5K, especially in the early game, matters a lot. 10K shield on turn 2, or if you go first, right? Tempest can make him 20K on his own, hits over a defensive trigger. On his own, before boost, by the way. 30K line without Persona Ride. Against the grade 2, huge. Even against other units, like another grade 3, right? It's still 30 to 13.
Yeah.
Assuming they don't hit defensives, that's still 20K shield.
It is. Yep.
Right? So that matters a lot. And the biggest thing for me was the search. You're able to extract so many more cards consistently, and the fact that it's up to 1. So even if you're low on deck and you're playing a more grindy game, you're not going to deck out nearly as fast because it's up to 1.
Yeah, you could choose 0.
The fact that he looks at 5 cards, especially in the late games when you have very low deck, you can use Youthberk to look at the first 3, and then you can use Schneizel to look at the rest. Now you know exactly what's in your deck. That's also huge. Okay? And because the deck is so Persona Ride reliant for its main pressure, I think it's really valuable to have that consistency of hitting Schneizel consistently. I think it's really, really important because like it's insane getting something that can look at the top 5 in this format for just something you need, whether it's a revolve form or another Persona Ride. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, again, like the consistency just goes way up, right? And if you get a tool that increases your consistency by that much, especially in a format where consistency is very hard to come around, I think it's super worth it, right? Like if you're not playing decks like Ava, which can naturally just filter through itself, right, and get what it needs. Absolutely. Or decks like Chronojet, which are just consistent by nature. Having access to something that can just give you that consistency is, I think, super valuable. And why would you sleep on that? And then on top of that too, if let's say I have a Reedy as a booster, okay, he still makes 23. That's better than like 18. That makes a huge difference. 28, it's still 20K shield. Yep. It's huge. And then the 5K as well makes a big difference because then you just attack in a different order. Now it is awkward because, you know, you check a front trigger, it's like, right. But you know, still being able to force my opponent to drop 15k shield to no pass my Vanguard instead of 0 cards to 1 a pass, I'll take it any day. I'll take that any day. And like overall, I think the card is just really strong. I don't think I don't think it's like as weak, I guess, or like as I don't think it's less important than Kyber, and I don't think Kyber is more important than Schneizel, because like you can still hit your witch from Youthberk, and if you don't, it's whatever. Because again, in my stream game, I went into Gust when I checked the OT, but I didn't have Twin Drive. It was fine. I'm perfectly okay not having to see the witch all the time. It sucks if I don't, but it's also fine. The deck can still do its thing. Yeah. Right? Whereas the deck can't do its thing without revolve forms or persona ride, and Schneizel allows you to get there. And also he gets you bigger attackers. He, technically speaking, replaces himself too if you hit, so he's technically a plus because he's a plus to your board. And you can say the same thing with Kyber, but difference again with Kyber, less selective, mandatory call, costs 2 resources. Schneizel only searches for Youthberks, but can hit more cards, up to 1 resource. Yep. Especially in the early game, it matters a lot because you're already soul blasting from your right deck. Yeah. So I really think that like you should, people, if you guys aren't sold on Schneizel, I highly recommend trying him out. Like, I think Schneizel's super worth it. I really like the card. I think it's a must. I really think it's definitely like a staple in the deck. But like again, it just comes down to player preference and experience, guys. So feel free to take my words with a grain of salt.
I think it makes a lot of sense too, because like right now, like this was the World's event, so you had to think about all these little things that sometimes people kind of just overlook. In regional, sometimes you can kind of get away with that, but like literally in Worlds, you're facing world-class players every single round. So there's no scrub you're facing. There's no random dude that you're facing. Somebody is like that has qualified. Like in this year, it was top 3 players of a BCS. You know, so you're facing first, second, or third of a BCS for different regions.
Guys who could have won.
Yeah, literally, anybody can literally win at Worlds because everybody is qualified to do so, right? So that's why these little details that Sergio is going so much in depth actually does matter in the long term too. And thank you for even going into that level too, because sometimes people just kind of like, you play this card for it because it's a good card and that's it. But
well, there's a lot more. There are times when you do that, right? True. For example, it's like, well, I played the ride deck. I don't think I need to get into this. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
Right, like things like that, right? But it's like it is the little things too. Like you even take a look at my PG lineup, right? I break it down in the deck profile, and I will break it down slower because I was really hyped, so I did speak quite fast. But again, because I was going into a meta game that Chronojet didn't exist in, there wasn't grade 4s that were relevant. Again, the most relevant grade 4 that I thought was most meta relevant was Bastion Prime, but half the time. This is just from personal testing. If people are better at surviving than me, by all means teach me. But I just noticed the deck struggled to get to grade 4 via like surviving to turn 4. That was it, right? So I'm not gonna see Bastion. Prison sucks. Okay, sorry, Prison fans. Your deck's too slow. Okay, sorry. Nirvana's also kind of doo-doo. Not as doo-doo as Magnolia. Sorry, Magnolia fans. Magnolia Elder is doo-doo. Real bad doo-doo. Same with Kyrie, okay? Doo-doo. Bad.
So then...
what use do I have for it?
So then why did you have the 4th PG then? Like, get this just to have mirror a body?
Match. The body is important because, again, if you really need a body to commit, the mirror match. If I need to keep a Persona ride, if it comes down to, okay, I need a PG, and that last card in my hand's a Persona ride.
Right.
Or revolve form.
Now I see your point.
That matters. Elementaria. If the Elementaria is my PG,
you have to discard it. Yep.
That costs me the game.
I see your point.
Right? Yep. So that's number 1. Number 2, Flagberg being, I guess, the most relevant deck for guard restrict, you still want to play the same with Flagberg against Flagberg anyways. You rush it down early, you mitigate your damage early, so then you can eat damage
Yeah.
for defensive triggers and eat the Vanguard.
Mhm.
And you just keep going and just out-resource them because Youthberk's busted.
You probably
So,
Yep.
like, so obviously, right? It's like, okay, there's that too. And I thought it was super value because, again, if you need a booster, or if it's the last 2 cards in your hand, right? And it comes down to Persona Ride, Revolve Form. I'd rather have the potential to come back and win that game than to be like, damn, I lost because I played a card that wasn't relevant in the metagame right now.
No,
Right? Because there's no
good point.
Jet.
Yep.
And that's the biggest driving point to play Elementaria when Jet comes out, is only because Jet is the best deck in the format.
Yeah, and by the
So you
time
play
this video comes out, I think Jet will be in the English too at this point.
Yeah, so like, I'll be playing Elementaria, guys, for Jet meta, but I'm not going to be playing it for Worlds meta because there was no point.
Yeah, and thanks for like
So-
highlighting that too as well. I think
Yeah.
just to wrap up a little bit, was there like a matchup or two you want to mention? I know you said you wanted to talk about like your top.
Oh, matchups. I guess it's like overall, like, I think overall, like, everybody who I played, they all played well. I just think I played better up until top 8, and then top 8 I just died. Because like, and like, even thinking about it too, it's like, yeah, like, I think that I still did the right thing, but my opponent was just awarded for it because they got the crit. I didn't get the heal to heal back down to 3, and I think that's what really lost me the game. But even then, it's like, I was really scared, I think, for the most random things going into the event, like Token Rambu. Well, okay, not Token Rambu. Shaman King, there we go.
There you go.
Because like, I don't know, okay, like, like, I don't know, it's fast. It can just rush me down and kill me, okay? Like, I don't know, it's scary, okay? I'm scared of collab decks, guys. I hate them so much.
It's just
Every suit doesn't exist, thank God. In English, that is. I was scared for Ava, 100% though. Because Ava can play super aggressive in the early game and can just kill me. But luckily, through the amount of games I lost against Sean Ko, bashing me in the face with Ava and killing me by the time I was at grade 2, I learned that Ava in this format hates being 0 damaged, and it sucks and it feels bad. So by doing that, I beat Ava. So you can't do that anymore. But hey,
at the time,
I saw Ava and I was like literally, it was actually, I was really scared because my first thought was, God damn it, I really was hoping to dodge it. Because it was my worst matchup out of the decks I knew that was gonna be there. Personally, I think, because like the mirror match, like I knew so well. I was not worried for mirrors. It was like the prison matchup for me at like Vancouver. I was not worried at all. I was praying for them because I just knew it so well. Like, I knew everything about it. It's the same with the Youthberk mirror. I knew it so well, and I still know it really well. So like, I'm not afraid. I was afraid of the stuff that I didn't get the most practice against.
Right.
Or random stuff like, again, Shaman King. Okay, that's random. Okay, like, and this is Worlds. Worlds is like, and this is actually what comes down to why like I wasn't phased playing against Orphist, because I already knew that Worlds, you always have to expect anything. It doesn't matter unless it's like a tier 0 format where it literally is you play the tier 0 deck or you don't play. You have to go in knowing that people are going to innovate, that people are going to bring something that you didn't think of. They're going to bring Rogue. Because this is Worlds. You got to think differently when you think about the metagame for Worlds in comparison to your regional, right? And regionals, it's a bit easier because, you know, more scrubs, no offense. But that means like, obviously, like, they're probably going to be more of like, I guess you can say, quote, I don't want to say sheep. It's more like, I guess, followers. Like, you know, like, it's like you follow the meta, you kind of play the meta deck, you know, that kind of thing. So it's a bit easier to predict, right? Worlds is different because yes, you're going to see meta, but you're also going to see homebrews. You're also going to see different deck lists, right? Things like that. Like when I went to my first Worlds, I played Gurgwit Ezel. When Ezel first dropped, like, Unite Gurgwit. And it was so good, but I did poorly, but that's fine. But the deck was insane. Okay? I think it was insane. Like, if I played against the guy playing Mega Colony, I would have beat him because I can call dude still. I ride Gurgwin and I use my stride skill. Up Tyrannus me, bro. That's your only out.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's true. But yeah, like it, like even things like that, right? Like you have to go in knowing that you can face anything, which is again why I was like, God, what if I face against Shaman King, guys? Like nobody plays it at my locals anymore. I'm terrified of this random thing.
What do I do? Yeah.
Yeah. And then like during testing, I remember my friend Wowie Wow, I was like, yo, do you have Overlord on you? Because he has Overlord. And he's like, oh, no, I don't, but I got Orphis. I don't know if that'll help you, though. I don't think you're going to see. I was like, no. We're going to play. I saw Orphis at Worlds. Orphis plays second at Worlds, guys.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. You can still see anything. I could have still seen like the grade 4 decks. Even though I thought they were dog, I could have still seen them.
Yeah.
I saw Nirvana, okay? I saw Nirvana there. I saw grade 4 Bruce. I thought Bruce was irrelevant, bro. Apparently not, okay? You can see anything. So you have to go in with an open mind of, okay, what is obviously the set meta game? Then you got to think, okay, what is the random stuff that can still beat the meta game?
Yeah.
And then especially if you're playing in premium, I think this really applies the most to premium. What is the tier 1.5 decks? Because in the hands of the right player, you can see those tier 1.5, tier 2 decks still winning. The best example is Gold Paladin throughout the tops of the season. Because Gold Paladin would steal tops in both the Ripples meta and post-Ripples meta. Just saying. So always remember, guys, just keep an open mind. Because you never know what you're going to play against.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like, with Premium, this is like an additional tip. Like, with Premium, there's been players that have been playing for years, and you kind of know what their clans that they're well-versed are to. So it's like, okay, if so-and-so plays Spikes, like, they would be the best Spikes player that I would ever face in my entire life, literally, at Worlds.
Yeah, it's like Dave Beck being the best Gear Chronicle player.
Yeah, and it's sometimes, it's like the 0.5 up boost for that deck that can potentially win or top, like you said, too.
Yeah.
It's in the right hands and the right person. Because it's Worlds,
like,
which is crazy if you think about it.
Yeah, again, and even then, it comes down to it doesn't matter if it's the best deck in the format. Dave Vex's favorite clan, Gear Chronicle.
Yeah, that was his favorite deck, and he did really well.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't matter. Favorite clan, Gear Chronicle. He built it so different than anybody else.
I think he was one of the major people that kind of exposed MFD.
I already knew the deck existed.
Yeah,
actually.
I think
that we were talking. It was really funny. I knew the deck existed, but like,
I think he was one of the driving forces because I think it was Solemn's teammate, so everybody's like watching Solem. So it's like, wait, who's this guy playing this MFD? You know?
Yeah, it was because Jay couldn't go.
Yeah,
another
people
fantastic Gear Chronicle player.
Yeah.
One of the tops, one of the top Gear Chronicle players. I think that can rival Vect.
Absolutely,
is Jay.
yeah. And I think
100%.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing that too with the matchups and the mindset. That helps a lot. I think for the viewers in this case too, what's a tip that you can give them to help them get to Worlds? You know, anything that you could shed light. It could be one or two things.
Okay. I definitely, after this experience, I think it really does come down to a few different factors.
Sure.
I think ego is a big one.
Ooh, okay.
You can hear Ty Smith in his interview talk about ego, hyping himself up in the shower, you know, singing like some Mulan song. Okay.
Yeah.
But it worked for him, right? And
Great
he still
song.
made top 8 at Worlds. I think ego though is something that is really overlooked.
Okay.
Because when you take a look at even professional athletes, right? And you take a look at how they talk about themselves and they're asked certain questions and they're just so confident with what they say. It's like, yeah, I'm the best. I know I'm the best.
Yeah.
They go in there. And then even when they lose, they're still like, I lost. Whatever.
Yeah.
I know I'm still the best. I'm just going to come back from it and beat this guy next year.
Yep.
Best example, in my opinion, was there was actually two, I think. Jordan Boros. This is both from wrestling, like Roman Greco wrestling, guys, because I'm a huge fan. Okay, well, like it's like Olympic wrestling. There we go, like freestyle, right? So Jordan Boros, because when he placed third in like one of the world championships, you know, that was a setback for him. But then he came back and won the next one, I believe. And it was like also like a performance he had at Rio that was like not good. I think it was Rio. He didn't perform too well, but then he came back the next Olympics and destroyed everybody.
Yeah.
And then Kyle Dake. Kyle Dake's a huge one, I think. Really good example. Because he was in Jordan Boros' shadow for so long. And then he finally, in the 2022 Olympic trials, I believe it was 2022 Olympic trials, yeah. He beat Jordan Boros to get his ticket to Beijing.
Yep.
And that was huge because Jordan Boros is considered one of, if not the greatest wrestler of all time in the sport. He is the greatest wrestler in USA history. Even Russia studies him, right? And so when you keep getting back up and you're just like, I'm still gonna beat this guy. Sure, he may be the best, but really I'm the best, you know? Right? And then you go beat that guy. Just saying. So having an ego like that, where you nurture it and it's not something that you like go overboard with, you know, it's something that I think has to be nurtured in a way where it's
healthy.
You still can keep it humble, but when you're playing, because I change when I play Vanguard. When I compete, I'm a completely different person. Because like typically I can be really like timid or like bubbly but still timid, and like, but like when I play the game, the only thought in my mind is I'm the best and I'm gonna beat you and I'll crush you. If you get in my way, I will crush you. And I've straight up told like Nuno that I was like, yeah, if we ever play out Worlds, I'm gonna beat you. Like it doesn't matter who my opponent is. Having that mindset of just I'm gonna beat this guy in front of me, easy.
Yeah.
But then when you take a loss, it's like, okay, I'm just gonna go win the next game. Easy, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like you need to have that ego, I think. I think it's really important.
Yeah.
And the thing that actually helped me to it, and it's my favorite series, is Blue Lock. Reading Blue Lock helped me get the, I think, correct competitive mindset I needed for Vanguard. Because what I was lacking before my regionals was confidence, was the ego, was that belief. Because technically I was there. Technically I am there. I play really well. But if my mindset is super weak, if it's super like doubtful, I'm not gonna go far because it'll translate into my play and self-sabotage. It'll be a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Yes, literally.
So when I read Blue Lock, it opened my eyes to the thing I was missing from my mindset to succeed, which was the ego. So not only do I recommend for viewers to go read Blue Lock or watch it, you can watch it and then read it. Highly recommend. Because even if you're not like into soccer, because it's a sports manga, okay? Just ignore that, okay, guys? Like I don't play soccer, okay? I don't play it. I ignore that part. It's still super hype. But it is the lessons that it teaches, because it even breaks down luck, simple things like luck, right? And it changed a lot of my views in a lot of ways. And that's what got me to succeed. And that's what's getting me to succeed still in competition. Like I placed first undefeated in top 8 standings at Worlds. I was the only one to do it. I was the person to beat, which is crazy to think about too, because like standard Worlds was pretty open, you know, like there wasn't as many famous players playing in it, like in premium, where it's like, yeah, you got the Derek Dow, you know, you got WCC, you got like all these big players.
Yeah, literally, literally they'd be at the same table. It's like 5 feet away from me. I'm like, man, everybody's playing premium.
Yeah, right. Like all these famous, accomplished players, right? The standard was a little different because a lot of it was a bunch of newcomers or people like there are people like myself who may have had like a few tops before, right? But not like enough to be well known, right? So it's like who's gonna win it? Who's the person to beat? And then I go in there and like I do what I did, and it's like, okay, it's this guy because he's undefeated right now. Out of all the formats, he's undefeated. He's the guy to beat, right? And also, when I compete, something that's really important as well, I think, was because I was just so focused on, I'm just going to beat this guy. I'm going to play my game, and I'm going to destroy this person in front of me. I'm going to beat them. I'm going to make my dream come true, okay? I'm going to overcome this obstacle. I was never fazed by really anything, and it was even more hard to read me emotionally. Because I think I have a really good poker face. I don't give out any information or any tells. And like, I can also dismiss a lot of mind games. Like if a guy's like, how many of that do you run in a deck? I'll be like, I don't know. Like, why would I tell you that? Like, I'll just say, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, right? Like, I don't know, you know. But like, that resolve really shakes people.
It does.
And it really like scares. Because also when you're able to say it so confidently and that really... like when you say that, right, and you believe it and you're so confident about it and you believe in yourself, right, people get really taken back by it. Like some competitors, like I heard they were actually like talking about me, like because the guy that I played in top 8 was the Orphis player, he's second, and he knew who I was because when we were talking, he's like, yeah, it's been my dream to become a world champ since I was like 9. And then he's like, oh, so you're that guy. And I'm just like, what? right? And then as we're talking, he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna do it. Like, no offense to you, it's not that you're not good enough to do it, you know, because like I said, like, yeah, I'm just gonna, you know, win it, right? But I said it so confidently.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of players were kind of taken back by that, you know, because like when you hear that kind of thing, right? It's like these people that are like a 1 in a million, right? You hear these things even in real life with like other things, whether it's like coming up pop stars, something like that, right? Most people will kind of just like laugh it off and be like, you know, like, yeah, you're just a dreamer, you know, that kind of thing. But when you say it and you really believe it and you're really like, this is what I want, and you believe that you can do it, your competitors will also be taken back by it because you will be able to face adversity and overcome it, which is what made this Worlds, for me, really special because I was going through a lot leading up to Worlds in my personal life. And I was really scared it was going to affect my performance. But because of my resolve to make my dream come true, I was able to overcome that adversity and to perform the way I did.
Yeah.
So I think that my biggest advice, like the first big one, is nurture your ego. Learn to really believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Even if it's reading like other success stories of other very successful competitors or reading stuff like Blue Lock again, highly recommend. If you're able to nurture your ego, you're gonna be successful as a competitor. Doesn't matter what you do.
Absolutely.
The ego is very important. Now, I'm not saying be a narcissist. No. But nurture your ego to have the foundation of I can, I will, I must.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'll get you to success, and that'll definitely get you to the next level. And then I think my next big thing is don't be afraid to change. I think that's a really big one. Because when people plateau and when players plateau, and even like some of my friends have pointed out that they think I plateaued, you know, like I want to get to the next level. I want to get to Nuno's level. I want to get to Dave Vex level, right? That's the level I need to be to become a world champ. What do I need to change in my thought process or in my play?
Right.
What do I need to do to evolve into that player? And if you go into every game thinking the same thing, you're not going to improve. If you go in after every loss thinking the same thing, you're not going to improve. You gotta be really open-minded to change because you're at the end of the day, you as the person who wants to achieve whatever you desire, it is up to you at the end of the day, and it is up to you to make the change. So you gotta welcome change. Welcome it. Don't be afraid of it. That's, I think, another very big one. Like, if you're super stubborn and wanting to play your favorite deck, by all means. But, like, be open to the change of, okay, maybe I should play another deck I really enjoy, but that's meta relevant to get me there. Right? Or maybe I have to change this deck entirely to be able to beat the meta game, because there's still examples of clan specialists, for example, Mohammed, the best one in my opinion, because it doesn't matter what state of the game his favorite deck is in, he takes it and tops. He is a mad lad.
Yeah.
Mohammed's the best example, right? But he has to change so much of his thought process and how he builds his deck to be able to deal with the competition, right?
Yep.
Like, there's still change.
Yep.
Right? So you have to be able to adapt and change in order to get to that level of world class. And then I think finally, I find this really common with Vanguard players, and it's kind of my perspective on luck, which is what I think I really hope this helps people get a better understanding of how I view luck, and I guess how it's helped me get to where I am now, being a higher level world class player. The way that I view luck, instead of it being this like super random thing, you know, like, because it is random, right? But instead of it being this thing where if I lose to getting double crit, I can fall back on and, you know, not like have an insult to my ego, that kind of thing. I look at it more of luck is a opportunity presented at a time, and if taken, you will be rewarded for that. So it is a calculated gamble. You see this in sports, like in soccer, for example, you know, a loose ball, okay? You see this in, obviously, Vanguard, right?
Yeah.
You know, triggers, right?
Yeah.
Top decks. You can even see this in other trading card games where it's the top deck, right?
Right.
It's that the right draw, the right time, you know? Things like that. But especially when Vanguard, right? Because the game has that component of luck.
Yeah.
You need to be able to assess the situation and be more comfortable taking risks, like breaking a Tuda pass, right? Like, because in this game especially, I do consider it a skill, the way that you play with luck and around luck.
Yeah.
It is a skill in Vanguard I don't think a lot of players really consider, because like, again, it's luck, it's random, you know? If your opponent gets lucky, normally you'd be like, oh, they just got lucky, right? Dismiss it off as this thing that's out of your control. But with the way I see luck anyways, it's a calculated risk. It is a gamble. It is an opportunity presented that will reward you if you take that opportunity. And if you take that risk, that is how I see luck. So like, anytime I get sacked by people, even at locals, that I know that I'm like way better than, it doesn't tilt me. It doesn't affect me. I'm still gonna keep playing my game because I know that at the end of the day, I took that calculated risk of, if they double crit, they win. If they crit, they win. Or like,
you assess the different results,
right? And because of that, I think that'll definitely help push players to the next level if you start to view luck differently, because even though, yes, it is out of our control, but it is not fully out of our control.
Right.
If the only way you're gonna win is breaking a Tuda pass, you take that. Or if you have an opportunity to close out the game now, then a few turns later, just by breaking a Tuda pass, take it. Or like, you know, assess it. Maybe check the odds first before, you know, taking it. I know myself, if it's locals, I'm not gonna do a trigger count before most of the time because my meds were off, so I'm a little bit less like engaged. So it's like, yeah, I'll do it, no balls, like double crit. And if I do it, I do it. If I don't, I'm like, damn, you know, whatever, next time. But it will not only, I think, help you mechanically, it'll also help you with the mindset, with a good mindset, because then you won't tilt for no reason. Even when your opponent checks OT and stuff, right? Whenever it's like, yeah, OT, you know, it sucks, I'll joke around it for sure, 100%. But at the end of the day, what were the odds? How likely was it? I always know it's there, right? I'm not going to get mad at the fact that there is this chance for my opponent to check something so volatile like that.
Right.
Because I have the same chance.
That's also true.
Right? So like, I think that if you change your view on luck as well, because you know, it's still random. It's still majority out of our control. We can't really control the luck. But again, it is an opportunity presented. And if you take it, you can be rewarded. It is a calculated risk of randomness, but only those who take those opportunities will be blessed by luck.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I were to summarize your 3 tips, first one is you call it a good ego, right? A healthy ego.
Yeah, the ego. You gotta nurture it.
You gotta believe in yourself. You know, you're the best and everything like that. But, you know, don't be a narcissist, obviously. The healthy ego. Second thing, don't fear change. Sometimes you may play your favorite deck still, but you may have to look at it a different view. You may have to change a couple things. Great example with Mohammed, by the way. And then lastly, like what you just said, you know, luck. You know, how many times we've been double critted? How many times we've dealt a 6 damage heal for an opponent to recover? OT, you know, have you assessed?
Or vice versa, you're the one doing it, right?
That's like, and it's like, you can plan it ahead to certain degrees and it can reward you too, like you said. So those are the big 3 things that, you know, Sergio.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that for sure it's that.
I think
and
that,
like,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
It really comes down to like, I think especially the one I guess I would want to emphasize the most is the ego, is the belief, because if you don't believe in yourself, it's going to be very hard to succeed. And I've definitely had my ups and downs, for sure. I'm not somebody who is perfect, always believing in themselves. I've had doubts. Doubts will creep in. Doubts are a part of the process to success. But as long as you have that strong resolve, then you can do anything. And then, especially in this game, you take that, right? You take the belief first, that's the big core. But then you allow yourself to be able to change and adapt. And you look at things that are random, like luck, in a different perspective. I think that'll push you up. to the next level for sure.
Absolutely.
And it pushed me to the next level, 100%.
Yeah, and thanks for that too. And sometimes like for those people like how do you get that resolve? And it's sometimes you need to get around people too that have similar goals, if not bigger goals, and people that are good. They'll encourage you, and if you prepare enough for yourself too, you start developing that self-confidence for yourself, and you'll be on your track to success too. So, any shout outs that you want to do, Sergio, and then we'll call it a night.
Birdman Joey Chan. I know you've been waiting for this, Birdman. You are the best bird, okay? Birdman Joey Chan. Great guy, really good friend. Helped. I took a sponsorship deal from him. He helped out with some financial parts of the trip in exchange. I must shout him out anytime I get interviewed, obviously, because he's a real G.
Nice.
So first one, Birdman Joey Chan. Second one, 100% my playtesting partners. My buddy Arthur, my buddy Fam, my buddy Isaac, Sean Ko. They're crazy, absolute crazy players. They helped me prepare, especially Arthur with the mirror match. Like, y'all are crazy. Shout outs to my mom again. My mom has been a big supporter, and she just wants me to do what makes me happy. And, you know, she didn't expect me to play this game as long as I did. You know, I started at 9. She's like, it's just a fad. 2 weeks, I'll give the most, right? You know? Fast forward like
half your life,
10 years, man.
Yeah.
Fast forward, and I'm here. But she's always been my biggest supporter, you know. So def shout outs to her. Shout outs to the rest of my local community, because I grew up with them, because they helped make who I am now. I don't think I would be here without them. Gary, Alex, Josh, everybody in the local community. Kyle, like my buddy Kyle too, shouts to him, because he was hyped when he heard I was playing on stream. He told everybody, and everybody went and watched.
Yeah,
and that means a lot knowing. Shouts to you, obviously. Like, you helped me with my mindset a lot, which I really appreciate.
Oh, appreciate that. You're welcome.
And then I think the funniest shout out is to everybody who sold me my SPs. Thank you for enabling me. Yeah. I love my SPs. I'm still going for max, guys. I'm crazy, I know. But like overall though, like thanks to everybody, even the other world-class players I reached out to, you know, Mohammed, Jay, you guys, even the ones I'm talking to now, Card Dweeb, you know, like Nuno, everybody, because like every influence that got me to where I am now, even simple as like content creators, Different Fight. I've been watching him since I was like a kid. Like,
he has been around
because of Different
too.
Fight.
Yeah.
He introduced me to regionals and that whole concept of competing, and that's what sparked the dream. So shout outs to you, man. Shout outs to Solemn as well, because I've tested some games with him. He's great. I love talking with Solemn. Shout outs to you, man. Shout outs to just like overall, finally, the community as a whole. Even if I don't know you, I think this community is a really positive community as a game.
Absolutely.
We have some really awesome content creators. We have amazing judging. I think judging this time around was really good.
It has been improving and really good.
Like overall, I think it's really great.
And they put in a lot of work too. I was watching kind of behind the scenes, and so kudos to them for real.
Right? And like honestly, the player base, because you guys are like keeping it alive. Like, so thank you for keeping this game that I grew up with, that is I'm so passionate about, alive. But also like shout outs to everybody, because of our love for this game, we're able to do these cool things. So as cheesy as it is, shout outs to the community, guys. I hope that, I guess, my story of getting to top 8 will help you guys get to your dreams, whether it's as simple as like top 8 at a regional or top 16, because hey, that's still a really awesome goal. Doesn't matter, even if it's top 50, awesome, you go do that. I'll root for you, whoever you are. And please keep enabling me. That'll be really good. My addiction, guys.
My addiction.
Yes, SPs.
Awesome.
But overall, those would be all my shout outs. And again, thank you again for the opportunity of this interview. It's super cool coming in now as like somebody from Worlds that topped. So I hope that, you know, with this experience too, and with this interview, you know, people want to reach out to me. I have Twitter. I have Facebook because I'm a boomer.
And I could put
yeah.
the socials in the description too, so it's a lot
100%.
easier for sure.
Yeah, Discord as well. You know, feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help. And yeah, I'm gonna go win this year's Worlds, 2023, right? I'm gonna go back and win it.
Absolutely.
So
come back and strong.
wait, guys, I am a future world champ. Just you watch.
Exactly. Well, thanks again for hopping on, Sergio. I appreciate just be willing to share your mindset, sharing your experience. And I could just tell that your enthusiasm is going to help a lot of people too as well. So without further ado, on to the next one, amigos. Bye.
Bye.